my name's Cassandra, or Cassie, whichever, and I chose the goal area of relationships. So I'm going to start it off with a quote, and my quote is, "The way we communicate with others and with ourselves ultimately determines the quality of our lives," and that was said by Tony Robbins. And then I just found this last night, so I just kind of threw it in here, but it says relationships cannot grow without the proper amount of communication. And I kind of like also chose this because this is the whole reason I went into comm studies, was just like always been big into like communication, and that's mainly why I chose comm studies. But the whole like communication and relationships thing has always interested me, so I chose this picture too because it just, well, it makes sense really. Alright, so my thesis statement is that the department achieved competency in the area of relationships. I will prove this by demonstrating how this was shown to me by talking about my experience in 4 classes that I took here at MSU. The 4 classes are effective listening, gender and communication, topics in communication, technology and culture, and my professional communication and interviewing class. The first class I will talk about is effective listening. So my effective listening class helped me in a few different ways. The first way I'm going to talk about is how it helped me improve my relationships in my life. So this helped me improve like several different relationships, helped me with interpersonal relationships, like friendships with people that I've known since like high school, helped me make relationships in college and maintain relationships, helped me with romantic relationships that I was in at the time, and it's helped me in like the one I'm in now. It's helped me with family relationships, like staying close with family over the years. It's helped me definitely professionally with jobs that I've been in. And then it also helped me learn different kinds of listening. Like this class, I was not a fan of the class particularly, but I learned a lot about it. Like we learned about different kinds of listening. Like you just assume that like you listen, like that's it, like you just listen. And this class taught us that there was like 3 different kinds of listening. There was critical listening, casual listening, and empathetic listening. And then we also learned how we listen with our ears, like the whole science behind it, like where the sound goes in and how it exactly reaches your brain and everything. And then it would also go to how we listen in a relationship, like how we exactly perceive messages and the different ways that we do that. So that was interesting. And we also did a lot of group activities, so that was interesting. We did like stuff where we go to the front of the room and we'd have to like listen to a certain sound and close our eyes and like try and guess things, and like it was just almost kind of like you're in kindergarten again, but as like college students. But it was fun because you didn't realize like what you were doing as like a young kid, and like you used like different parts of your ears that you didn't know you could still use. So that's kind of another interesting part about that class. And the second class I will talk about is my gender and communication class. This was an online class, so this was a little bit different. My effective listening class that I just talked about, that was in class. So this one was a little bit, I think it would have been more effective if I took it in class, just because I think it would have been a lot more interesting to see the diversity between men and women, because this was like very focused on the difference between men and women. Like that's basically what the whole class was. So it was really interesting because you don't really like, I'm used to listening to my parents kind of like bicker at each other. My mom's always like, your dad doesn't listen, and that's a men thing. They don't listen in this way and all of that. So I put this picture in here because we actually talked about this in class, about how women express emotions more and like men talk differently, and they kind of like mask their emotions by using joking, and like that kind of got brought up in a discussion board in the class, and it wasn't like a really good discussion. It kind of got a little heated, but we talked a lot about that, like the different emotions and how each gender like expresses them differently and stuff like that. We also talked about how both genders listen differently, and one thing that was common that the teacher tried to like push on us was that women listen better than men, because that's what we kind of like hear a lot. But she was trying to like get that notion away from us that like don't listen to that, like that's not true. And then a big thing that was talked about was how men and women interpret certain phrases differently, and then why they interpret them the way they do, and how each gender differs in how they listen, talk, and hold relationships. And I think I took this, I want to say like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So I wonder if they changed it now. But it was an interesting class. Like I definitely I would take it like again in person just to see like the dynamic of how things would go. And then the third class I'll talk about is my topics in communication, technology, and culture class. This class was strictly online, like the whole thing was based online. And this class was basically online discussions. We didn't have any quizzes, nothing like that. So that was a nice change because online quizzes scare the crap out of me. They're frightening because they say like, oh, open book and everything, but like you don't know what's gonna happen. You're not prepared because you didn't go to a lecture. It's completely different. But this class, there was no quizzes, nothing like that. It was online discussions. You'd have to read articles and write papers on them, but most of it was online discussions. This was by far my favorite class I took. You had to participate every day, which was really hard, I think, for some people, because you literally, like, he checked, like, he knew how long you were online. He knew if you read the discussion posts, and if you didn't reply, your docked points. He knew if you read the content on D2L, and, like, it was, like, very, like, you had to be participating as much as possible. But this class, like, taught me a lot better online communication. Just even, like, with my teachers, it taught me, like, how to, like, formulate questions better to understand material. Like, if I had questions, I figured out, like, ways to, like, word my questions better, I guess I could say. I don't really know how to, like, phrase that. But I was able to, like, understand materials better and, like, ask my classmates for help. Like, I wasn't as afraid to ask them because I, like, didn't want to seem stupid or something like that. Like, it was a lot easier to, like, reach out for help and, like, kind of, like, voice your own opinion, but also be accepting of others' opinions at the same time. Like, it's weird now, like, before then, like, I don't want to, like, relate this to, like, Facebook, with people, like, Facebook fighting and all that now. It's weird, like, seeing, like, I, like, look at things completely differently because of this class, just because of the way we, like, there were arguments, but they were, like, mature arguments. I don't know how to, like, put that. Like, people were, like, arguing, but they were, like, putting facts with their arguments and, like, sources, and they were credible sources, and, like, they were backing up their arguments with actual information, and, like, it was really neat to see that happen, but people were still respecting each other at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that was a great class that I got to take. And then the last class that I'm going to talk about is my professional communication and interviewing class. This class, we learned how to act in a business setting, and we got to do mock job interviews, and we got to do a resume, and we had to bring those to the mock job interviews, and mine went awesome. I was able to get feedback on my resume and my job interview. I actually pulled it out the other night and looked at it, and it's a good thing I did that because that's actually going to help me a lot in the coming months. But that class, I think, is good for anybody to take just because you learn how to, like, prepare yourself for a job interview, especially, like, for us as seniors. It's good to, like, reflect back on that for the coming months. But it was a good experience to learn how to, like, conduct yourself professionally and how to dress professionally and how to just prepare yourself. And we also learned how to, like, talk to, like, your boss or something, like, if conflict arises. And we had to, I remember we had to conduct a speech, like a business plan too, about what we would change about our current job situation, and we had to, like, make a whole plan out of it, and we had to give that as a speech too. So that was that class. So in conclusion, I believe that the department achieved competency in the goal area of relationships as proven by my description of the 4 classes I talked about. I talked about effective listening and how it taught me a lot about interpersonal communication in my relationships. And then I talked about my gender communication class and how each gender listens differently. I talked about my topics in communication, technology, and cultures class, and how it taught me to communicate more effectively online with my teachers and my classmates. And I talked about my interprofessional communication interviewing class and how it taught me how to go to a job interview and how to communicate within a business setting. Thank you for listening.